I just found out that my daughter is engaged and getting married to a man who is 20 years older than her. She's 19 and he's almost 40. Apparently, she's been seeing this man for the last 6 months and recently announced their engagement. I am in disbelief. What makes it worse is that she had confided in my sister, her aunt, about this when she first started seeing this guy. My sister encouraged her to do what makes her happy and basically pushed her into this relationship. Now she swears up and down that he's the love of her life and they're meant to be. She just told me about the relationship 2 weeks ago because she said she knew her father and I wouldn't be okay with it and was afraid of my reaction. She wanted me to meet her future husband before she introduced him to the rest of the family, so she invited me to brunch with them. When I arrived, I could instantly tell that this man knew what he was doing. I can't fathom what a 19-year-old and a 40-year-old have in common. I know this man is well off from the way he spoke about work. I could feel my teeth grate every time he put his hand on my daughter's lap, and it made me extremely uncomfortable to see them affectionate towards each other. Throughout the entire brunch, I was biting my tongue. However, when he mentioned that he wanted to purchase a house in another state for them to start a family soon after the wedding, I lost it. Things got extremely heated from here.
Am I the asshole for confiscating my daughter's glasses as a punishment? A few weeks ago, my daughter, Maddie, 15, and her friends stole a girl's asthma inhaler and destroyed it. The girl ended up becoming ill, but fortunately the school had a spare one. Because the incident was so serious, and also because Maddie and her friends had been tormenting the girl for a while, it resulted in Maddie being expelled from school. The other girl's parents almost involved the police, but thankfully decided against it. When I got Maddie home from school after what happened, I gave her a long lecture, and she didn't regret what happened at all and thought it was just messing around. She thought it was stupid that she got expelled. When she came down for breakfast the next day, I decided on a punishment. I took her glasses off her face and went into her room and confiscated her.
So as a kid, me and my family would go to the beach like almost every day, and there was always this creepy old man just sitting down. So one day, the creepy old man called me little girl in the pink shirt, and I would always go talk to him, but one day it all changed when he randomly called me by my name. This is a fake name I'm using, Layla. And I looked at him with fear in my eyes because I never told him my name. I walked up to him and said yes. He looked at me and said, let's go for a walk. By the way, my parents look at him as an old man that was enjoying his retirement. So we go for a walk and he says, so Layla, how is it back at home? I tell him good. Then he started asking me weird questions like the school I went to, my address, all type of weird things. So I responded with I don't know. Then my parents started to call my name because they were looking for me. So the creepy old man let me go before I started to walk. I asked him what his name was and he gives me his fake name.
This is part 2 of my true scary childhood story about the little boy in the tornado shelter. After I saw the little boy, I got so scared and ran up the stairs to tell my parents. When they went down there to see what I was talking about, the little boy was just gone. It was almost like he had vanished into thin air. My mom then told me to never go down there again. But, of course, I didn't listen to her, and I went down there the very next day. The moment I went down there, I saw the little boy again. He looked super sweet and really scared, so I decided to just try to talk to him. I asked him what his name was, and he said his name was Adam. Then I asked him why he was down there, and he said he lived down there. And then, being the curious child I was, I asked him where his parents were. And his reply was they were dead. I then asked him if he wanted to come eat dinner with us, and he said he couldn't leave. I was so confused. I asked him why he was down there, and then he just went silent. Like this video if you want a part 3. This is part 3 of the people who lived inside of my walls. No, they were not real people. They were obviously ghosts. But as I was saying before, I tried to communicate with the spirits by tapping on the wall. And every single time I would tap, they would tap right back. After I started communicating with them, things started to get bad really quickly. I would wake up in the middle of the night and all my blankets would be all the way across the room. There were engraved scratch marks on my door, and they just kept appearing every single day. I woke up in the middle of the night one time to someone literally standing over me. I screamed so loud and the thing just disappeared. My parents finally believed me when one morning I woke up to 3 long scratch marks going down my back. They moved me upstairs into a new room and turned my old room into a guest bedroom. Whenever we have guests over, though, they all tell us that they hear the tapping. And I know exactly what they're talking about. Thank you for listening, and please follow my Instagram.
So a lot of you were confused as to how I made this video with Lil Nas X, and no, it's not really him, it's a hologram, but let me show you exactly how I did it. So you're going to want to open this app called JDo Hologram, and once you open the app, you're going to see this screen which has a bunch of different holograms that you can download. What's really cool about it is that it has all these different holograms with all these different people. Once you download a hologram, it's going to turn it red, so that's going to help you keep track of which holograms you do have downloaded and which holograms you don't. So you're going to want to open the app, and once you do, you're going to see the screen where you can put your hologram anywhere you want. You can adjust the size. So he speaks to you and you can like mouth the words back. This app doesn't have voiceover, so what I did is I saved the video to my camera roll, transferred it to TikTok, did the voiceover on this app, and then posted it. Really hope that helps you guys.
So when I was a sophomore in high school, I had this teacher who would only let the students in her class use the restroom one time per semester. Well, one day I raised my hand and I was like, excuse me, I don't remember her name, can I please use the restroom? And she was like, no you can't, because you've already used the restroom in my class this semester. Well, excuse me, you can't dictate my bladder. So I'm like all frustrated, and I started secretly texting my mom because I wasn't allowed to use my phone in class. And I was like, Mom, I'm sitting in class right now, my teacher won't let me use the restroom. And she was like, I'll take care of it for you. And I was like, okay. So like 5 minutes goes by, and all of a sudden my teacher's phone starts ringing. And she walks up to it and answers it, and she's like, hello? Yeah. Okay, thank you. And then she walks up to me like so angry, and she like slams the pass on my desk, and she was like, since you have to go that bad. And I was like, yeah, I really do, thanks. And I got up and left. I didn't even have to go to the bathroom. It was just the principle of it. I just roamed the halls.
Story time of how I found out that my mom was actually my older sister. My older sister never really liked me as a child. We were never close. I never knew why, but I was guessing it was because of the 10-year age gap. But I'm pretty sure she hated me because she couldn't even look me in the eye. I cannot make this up. She would not look me in the eye. But she never really talked to my parents either. She kind of just kept to herself all the time. Sometimes I have vivid memories of when we were younger and she would always be arguing with my parents about something, and I always thought it had something to do with me. Well, I was right. It had everything to do with me because eventually my sister turned 18 and she moved out. For 2 years, I didn't talk to her at all. I honestly don't even think I had her number saved, and I'm pretty sure that she didn't have mine. Well, 2 years later, and I was 10 at the time, she reached out to me via social media. I'm not sure how she found my Instagram name, but it was just my name, so she probably just typed that in and found me. She DM'd me and told me that she wanted to talk about something very important and that she would like to talk over the phone. So we exchanged numbers and we called that same night. And she told me that when she was younger, my dad had taken advantage of her and gotten her pregnant and had me. This is part 2 of how I found out that my mom was actually my older sister. So like I said, my older sister had reached out to me via social media and told me that she was actually my mother. And so after we got off the phone that same night, I lost it at dinner and I went off on my parents and I screamed at them. And I told them that I would go to the police and tell them everything and I would tell them the truth unless they just let me live with my older sister. And they tried to explain themselves, and their reasoning was that they wanted to keep the family together because of their traditional values. And it would have just made their lives a lot harder going through all the court proceedings, so they just kept the family together. And so they clearly didn't want me to go into the police, so they said that I could go live with my older sister. So she came to get me, but she lived in a different state, so it kind of took a while. I still had to stay in the house for like a week or so before she came, but I packed all my stuff and I was ready to go. And when we went back to where she lived, we immediately called the police and told them everything. Fast forward a little bit, they did some DNA testing. My sister's DNA matched as my biological mother's, and then my dad was my biological father, and they saw how the ages just didn't match properly, so they took my father to jail. What's one really bad thing you did as a child that you kept secret for your entire life and didn't tell nobody? I'll go first. I got a lot of stories like this, but this is just one of them. So my mama used to put me in daycare, and in my daycare we used to do field trips, and we went to the YMCA. So while we were in the pool, this one white kid comes up to me. He asked me, like, why are you black? And I was kind of embarrassed, but I wasn't mad at the kid. I was more embarrassed than I was mad. And I told him that my parents painted me every single day. And I was thinking back at the time when I scraped my knee and the skin came off and there was like no blood. It was just bone. But I didn't know that it was bone. I thought that I was just white underneath. So I was like, it's true, like I can peel my skin off and prove it. When I did that, I peeled skin off my finger and it was a lot of skin and I started bleeding really bad. So the water started getting red and the daycare people tried to get everybody out the water like there was something going on. And then once everybody was out of the water, one of the daycare people go, I'm so sorry, everybody. I lost my tampon. I need to find it. Okay, so what happened was pretty self-explanatory, but I can make a part 2 if you guys